So now we gotta wait 25 minutes.
What the?
And
I'm not waiting in the cold.
If there's a crack developing, it will be here in this area or here in this area. In this episode, we're gonna diagnose a bad bearing wear pattern of our replacement engine, which we bought for 7,700 euros. And we're gonna do that based on the 4C diagnostics from Dave's Auto
Center.
Yes, because Vera likes him so much.
Hope you enjoy our video.
Okay, at least it stopped raining after 1 week. And we finally find the chance to disassemble our Gen 2 engine, which we bought as a replacement of our failed engine with the hole in the block.
Oh.
Most of the messages we got about replacement engine blocks where you guys send us ads were for like Gen 1 engines and sometimes even the 2.7 liters. So I was a little bit disappointed that you guys didn't pay attention in the video that this is a Gen 2 engine, okay? It doesn't help us if the block is either broken, Gen 1 or 2.7 liter.
Yeah.
But still, thank you very much for supporting us in trying to finding a new engine block.
And it's not cheap in the UK either. Gen 2 is not a cheap block.
Second EGR valve out.
No hole on that side. No hole on that side. Never been open. In that case now I think it's a good thing.
This is the first drive belt with 145,000 kilometers on this engine. You can see the amount of dirt buildup in here.
And what is that?
It's not 100% dry. Look how that belt looks. This is the worst looking one we saw so far. The nice thing is I rather have an engine where nobody messed around with.
Stuff like that will be new anyway.
Yeah.
And that is our replacement engine, so even that might not get used. So no, Christian, it needs to be marked.
Yeah, the upper one is the new one.
Oh, I take care of the stuff, you know. Everything is nicely packaged. I want to get a new block once they are available or do another engine rebuild. You know, just so we have a spare engine at home.
Yeah, I think if you drive a Discovery 4, it's a good idea to have a spare engine. Oh, look at that.
Oh, nice.
What's really special on this engine for us, we got that the first time, is the initial timing belt on it, out of the factory. So let's verify what the timing looks like on an engine out of the factory. I got our timing pin here, which nobody has, okay? Dimensions are on our Patreon page. I insert this here on the side of the block. I crank it in all the way to the end stop. Tighten it very lightly. Now I turn the crankshaft against the timing pin. There we go. These are the timing pins. Watch it. And they go in perfect. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh my God, that's even better than...
That's even better than we got it by hand. This shows you how accurate our timing pin is, and this shows you how accurate they set it in the factory, okay? Compared to all the engines we measured so far where the belts were changed in Land Rover workshops, you couldn't even get them in, okay? They were stuck and you had to fumble around here.
Yeah.
This is how accurate they got it, because they used this timing pin to adjust it, and it matches perfectly, okay? So this is a really good sign. Look at this wheel. If I only turn this like this much, and they're already stuck. This one is already stuck.
Oh,
this
my
one
God.
is still good. But versus when I go against the pin, they lose.
Yeah. So
It's really incredible.
even though the buying experience was not a nice one, but I do have a good feeling about that engine.
Well-
And I've got my experience.
So now I put this plug back in.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Otherwise we're going to lose.
Otherwise we're gonna lose it. Okay, here another thing I wanted to show you is how factory adjusted the tensioner. Of course the tensioner loosened now a little bit because the belt lengthened over time, a very little bit. But you can see it's not adjusted, you know, at the upper end of the adjustment window. It's like at the beginning of the adjustment window. So they do this to keep the belt tension rather on the low end. So a lot of people adjust these way too tight. You gotta be careful here not to exceed that window and be rather on the lower edge. Otherwise your belt is gonna be too tight. And then these spokes here start to crack over time.
On the SDV6 2.7 liter, I had a comment recently that they changed the timing belt, but not the oil pump with a weak housing. And that's when they're gonna crack. You can run your oil pump with a weak housing until you do the timing belt.
Yes.
Then things get messed up.
Okay, I gotta show you guys something. You know, Vera actually fixed her jeans right there. See that? It was ripped open. So be careful with your comments or she's gonna ban you from the channel. Everything went well so far. I got almost everything apart, but I'm stuck on this injector here. So I'm hoping it will come out. Okay. Wow. So this was pretty tough to get this injector out. Built me like a little vice grip puller. And I went on one side, then on the other side, then on this side, and then on this side. And I soaked it and soaked it and soaked it. Really a lot of work, but I didn't give it a lot of hard hits, just small hits over and over, and it came out and it's not damaged. This time is very well spent because an injector is 300 and more euros. There we go. So that's the second head. I think that's looking good. Ooh.
So for our one desktop mechanic, he already broke the torque with the breaker bar.
Yeah, I filmed that. Okay.
Oh, it's tilting. Oh my god.
Still one bolt in, that's why.
Oh my god.
And?
That's from us when we did the compression test, probably.
No, this is oil which seeped in
Oh, okay.
I had the bolts now loose. The I do cars inspection.
You're doing the I do cars. I want you to do the Dave's inspection now.
Okay, the Dave's inspection is we're gonna keep those and put the new ones over it to make sure they fit and there's not a hole missing. That's the Dave inspection.
Exactly. So by the way, if you don't know who Dave is, it's a new YouTube channel we're watching, Dave's Auto Center. He is based in Utah and he does do Land Rovers.
Yeah, and I'm starting to get jealous, okay? Because when Vera is watching Dave and then I'm doing something, she's always telling me, well, Dave did it this way and Dave did it that way, okay? And the guy is...
I watch his TikToks.
Okay, one more.
Oh, yeah.
So what would Dave say now? The condition, then the cause, and then the correction, and then confirm. He calls it the 4 C's. Maybe it's only 3 and I made 4 out of it. I don't know. Okay. Oop.
Oh, there's stuff.
Pushing. Important that we keep those.
Yeah. So now we do the hammer test.
Hammer test on this engine?
Yes.
Well, if the hammer test fails, then
We are in
we
big
wasted
problem.
another 7,800 euros. Don't want to scratch any material in there. And
Yeah, but we still want, I want to do the
Ooh.
hammer test.
let me first clean out the cylinder boss to make sure no debris got in there.
And why did you say ooh?
Because it's so smooth, it's unbelievable.
So, but Christian, we're gonna check the honing grooves and then we're gonna hone them. Now that I know from Dave how important the honing grooves are.
Oh, but it wasn't important when I said that, okay?
You didn't explain it to me correctly.
Okay.
I mean, the I do car guys,
I
Eric.
do car guy hammer test.
Yeah, he
Okay,
does it
watch
all the time.
Quiet. Ooh. Ooh.
Good.
Ooh. Okay, so hammer test passed.
Oh my god, yes.
We did not waste all our money. Now we're gonna check the bores. So cylinder number 1 is clean.
Yeah,
Cylinder number 2. Oh, look at that.
yeah,
Maybe here on the side, see that? But there could be a piston ring opening.
yeah.
See
That
here?
is a piston ring.
Oh no, I can wipe it
Yeah,
away. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's good. Over here.
And we of course have
See,
new
I can
piston
wipe
rings.
it. I can wipe it away.
Yeah.
Other side. Okay. Bore 1. No scratches. No scratches. Oh. Ah, that's beautiful. That end of the block is perfect. So let's take the oil pump off.
So that's the upper side of the lower end.
Let me give this a soak here quickly.
Yes, please.
So that
Stuff like that rusts
it
immediately.
rusts like overnight.
Yeah, that is when he thinks only one male is necessary.
Okay, watch if Dave can do that.
I could have done that.
Okay, did you guys hear that Mercedes-Benz recalled another bunch of vehicles like GLE and GLS, like more than 140,000? And the reason for the recall is the engine could stall.
For Mercedes, it's a safety hazard, but not for Land Rover.
If it's a safety hazard or not is determined by the Department of Transportation of the particular countries. What's a Mercedes driver doing when the engine stalls? Oh, my engine stalled! Think about what a Toyota driver does when the engine stalls, you know?
So simply open it and unscrew the cap. Once you've finished, simply replace the cap and gently close the fuel cover.
The engine stalled. I mean, think about what the Land Rover drivers do when the engine stalls, you know? They go like, oh, the engine stalled. Let's slide down that sand dune down to the bottom. There is less wind. Don't worry, honey. We got water and food for 9 days. They'll find us. Think about what happened if Jaguar Land Rover would be ordered such a recall. It would read in the news like, Jaguar Land Rover had to recall 1.8 million vehicles with the SDV6 and TDV6 engines out of the year 2005 to 2024 because of a potential crankshaft snapping issue. 1 hour after the news were published, Jaguar Land Rover filed bankruptcy and ceased all operations. And the CEO said, "Why?"
Careful, that is now our spare oil pump.
This hole identifies this block as a Gen 2 engine. If you don't have this hole, you have a Gen 1. Which I do not want to break. See here, this plastic tube?
Yes, we have a spare, by the way.
Let's turn it around for the first time.
Remember, Dave?
Why? What did Dave do? Oh, I gotta keep the seal.
That's our trash bin.
When we take this baby apart, there is the potential that we reuse the main bearings.
Yes.
Okay, like we did on yours, because the original main bearings are matched to the engine block. And if they have no scratches, it's a good idea to put them back in. What we got to make sure is that we absolutely remember where each bearing shell goes and also in what orientation. So
how are we going to do that?
Careful. Okay.
Oh my God.
So this is going to take a few minutes to scratch this carbon out here in this rust.
Yeah.
But we would scratch the pistons if we move that over it. Do that really carefully on all 6 and we'll see you in about 2 hours. Okay, I got them all clean. Now we're gonna take this baby apart. Let's get the first one out.
But I want to have another addition to my Conrad bearings collection, so don't mess them up.
This is number 4. And...
Oh my God, now we're gonna have a...
Okay. Oh. Okay. Don't want to leave that one in there. In the patient.
Yeah.
Dave calls it the patient. And first one looks just like it's supposed to look with 140,000. So guys, this is just how they look when they run with 5W30. Ooh, look at that. I didn't order new pistons, so...
Yeah, that's just a little bit of a...
It's 4. Yeah.
Oh, now I'm filming the entire stupid thing.
So we got all the pistons out and we're gonna check the end float of this crankshaft before we take it out. And you can see here it's 0. We got an end float of 0.28 millimeters. This is good. 0.4 is max. This is a really good end float. So we write down 0.3.
Oh, we're writing down stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the bearing wear we got. So it is not insignificant, I want to say. And it's a good thing that we're changing those. If you compare them with Vera's engine with 260,000 kilometers, okay, they look about the same. Vera's engine ran with 5W40 and this engine was only marginally maintained with 5W30. And I want to say, this is what you get. There's also, you can see here some debris and some scratches buried in this bearing here. That's probably happened right in the beginning after manufacturing, because the other ones are clean. That's a sign that there was debris left out of the manufacturing process. Look at the piston wear here. There are absolutely no scratches. It's not worn through. They all look good. And I ordered new Götze diamond-coated piston rings. Let's take the crankshaft out and see how that one looks. I bet it looks perfect and we can reuse these.
So Christian bought new conboard bearings and also new crank bearings, even though we might not use them.
So we add this to our bearing collection. The wear is extremely even, and the entire wear is very similar to the one from Vera, with double the kilometer on Vera's engine.
Those bearings have a purpose, and that is to embed dirt.
Yes, they are designed to embed dirt. So we're gonna have to polish this one a little bit, but other than that, it's really perfect. And look, Larry wrote down when he made this crankshaft. It's a 8/12/15, so very late in the year. And here even he had the night shift, 2,300 hours.
Oh my God, it's a night shift.
It's a night shift crankshaft. That's when everything is running quiet, you know, and they lean back. So looking at the rear crankshaft seal, it started to leak. There we go. This bearing is definitely not new. So I gotta give you the oh my god, because Vera isn't around. If the front one shows a sign of wear, this could be a crack starting to form in the crankshaft. This one almost looks like a different bearing. Weird. But no scratches and not completely worn. Same condition again. This one is definitely not new either.
Oh, it's unevenly worn. First one.
Okay, it's one piece. It's good. We're gonna crack test this one.
Crack test and inspection. Good. Oh my God, what did we drop here? Never seen a part like that on an engine. No!
What that is?
No!
That is the washer which goes into the crankshaft pulley wheel. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That would have been an engine failure if that's missing.
Well, don't put it in like that. That's probably how it got lost the first.
It's back in there. So I'm gonna test the critical areas.
So I really actually don't want to do that test because I'm afraid of the outcome.
Oh, watch out. This stuff is really not good for your reproducing organs.
I'm done reproducing.
Oh.
You know how many comments you're gonna get?
Okay, I got all critical areas, I think. It's going every day like this.
Every single day.
I'm waiting for this to soak in. I have to wait 10 minutes. So I got all the red stuff removed with a very soft cloth. Good. Now we gotta do the developer.
Oh no, the moment of truth.
Okay, with the developer I gotta do only a really light coat. Otherwise it will basically not make the cracks visible. The other area is there. Okay, the critical area I got.
Oh my God.
So now we gotta wait 25 minutes.
What the?
And
I'm not waiting in the cold.
If there's a crack developing, it will be here, in this area, or here in this area.
We are just testing that because we are a bit worried about the uneven wear in the main bearings.
Yes, especially the one on the front.
Yeah.
Okay. So the result of the crack test is that there is no crack visible. This is the critical area, and there is absolutely nothing. Also over here, nothing. Here you can see absolutely nothing.
Oh, now Robin is hammering. Shit, I have to wait. So Christian already tested this crankshaft. He measured everything that can be measured, and the crankshaft is just fine. There is nothing crooked, nothing bent, nothing deteriorated, or any evidence that this crankshaft is in any way out of shape. It's not.
In the first step, we're gonna install the bearing without the crankshaft, with the bearing races installed here in the engine block. And we're gonna measure if the bearing surface is absolutely concentric. For all the testing we do today, we have an extra set of bolts. We're not using the bolts of this engine, and we got them all marked white so we don't mix them later on into the engine because they will be torn up, if you will.
Yeah.
When you do such high-tech testing, okay, it's kind of important that you install it the right way around. Okay. So the torque spec on the outer is 40 in the first stage, then inner, then 90 Newton meters on the outer, and then 45 degrees on all of them. So I will be doing that for the rest of the day.
Oh, nice. He moves metal. You know, he doesn't take it away like on a lathe or on a mill.
So I'm using my micron indicator here, and I got it set to 0, which represents 70 millimeters right now. That's the nominal diameter of the mains. What I'm gonna do now is check if there is any sign of non-concentricity, so if this is conical. This bearing is not seated nicely in the bore, or the bore is not straight. The bore might be conical in some way or form. So with these measurements now taken, we can take this back out and compare the measurements with the wear pattern and see if this makes any sense. And then we have our condition, according to Dave, okay? Yeah. So that was the first test. Let's take this baby back out. If the result we see on the bearing now makes sense from the wear pattern, then we take the bearing out, install it without the bearing, and inspect the bore only.
And check the dirt underneath the bearing.
Yes, see if Larry left anything in there.
Poor guy, Larry.
Okay. Now, this was the front.
Well, our measurements are in correlation with the wear pattern. I can already see that.
I can't see that. I need to investigate this, just like Dave said, you know. We need the condition. I have to do the syncing off camera. So check out what Robin made. This looks really precise here. He forged some holes into a round bar. And then see how this is inserted here? Really incredible. Yeah, that's looking really good. Is this gonna get welded here?
Yes.
So if you think about it, this is not real easy because these holes are forged into this round bar before it's bent round. So if this isn't done 100% precise, the thing would not be round at the end. And you can see here clearly on this cross if this is not 90 degrees. I did all my thinking off camera, as you can see, and I'm now ready to explain you the condition according to Dave's 4 C's. And then we're gonna go into the cause. Robin is still grinding, but I showed some footage, what he's doing, and it's really impressive.
Okay.
Okay. The condition is that we got this uneven wear pattern on the main bearing, which is under load, okay? The block's upside down. The bearing on this side of the block is taking all the loads from when the pistons come down, versus the bearing on the top side is not seeing much load. It's only holding the crankshaft in position, and it also has the oil pass in it to get the oil into the crankshaft, okay? So this bearing obviously does not show as much wear as the one taking the load, and we are worried about basically this uneven wear. We want to know the condition and we want to know the cause, just so Vera doesn't give me a hard time when she watches the next Dave video. So we installed the bearing, as you saw, in the block completely, and we torqued it down to spec. From that point on, we did basically multiple measurements in the front of the bearing race and in the back of the bearing race. That's basically showing if the bearing is nicely and cylindrical or if it is installed conical. And there is actually a specification from Ford on how conical or cylindrical that needs to be. And for the block, basically the diameter is given and it's supposed to be 75.00 to maximum plus 20 microns. And then there is a parallelarity specification for that bore in each of the mains, which is 0.006 micron. So Ford wants this block to be bored nice and cylindrical and not conical. So with our measurement, we verified this with the bearing installed. So the condition is, with the bearing installed, we got this uneven wear pattern. We're not at the cause yet. And we found out that our, I got the wrong symbol here. This symbol is like this. We found that the parallelarity of our bearing installed, not of the bore from the block, is basically 8 micron in the position 1, which is measured like this, and 6 micron if measured like this. Now, if we look at this with the specification from the block, okay, we are a little bit above the specification. That's not good. Now, if we take this data and we calculate our main bearing oil clearance out of this, we find out that our main bearing oil clearance we get is in specification. So we did not have a oil starvation problem. An oil starvation problem would or could have the same signs in wear, but it would be more even distributed over the full bearing surface from the bearing. So oil starvation is most likely not the problem. And that's why we think we basically have a parallelarity problem, and that cost us a wedge-shaped oil film. And if I compare how our bearing looks and how it is worn out, I can basically see that in the front, my oil film was thicker based on my measurements, and in the back, my oil film was thinner. If we compare now our measurement results with our bearing, we basically know that our bearing is worn out in the back and not as worn out in the front. In the back, we have a larger oil wedge than we have in the front, okay? Our running clearance in the back of the bearing is slightly larger than in the front. So we have to assume that the larger oil clearance is causing our problem. But I think because both of the measurements we took for the oil clearance are in specification, the problem is really the wedge shape. If you have a wedge shape, it will cause a different kind of a force distribution from the front to the back. So the force the crankshaft is applying into that bearing is not equally cushioned, and that will cause that premature wear. That also matches what Mahler writes over this bearing wear pattern in their catalog. You can see here they have this case A where the wear pattern is exactly like in our bearing, and in case A they say out of shape journals in a taper shape. So I think with our 4 C's the cause is a out of shape journal, which could be of course the block, the bearing, or the crankshaft. We have a plausible explanation now for the cause of our condition. Man, Dave gotta be proud of me now.
We just have to find out what causes that condition.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we know it's not the crankshaft, and we know it's the bearings, but we don't know yet the block or the bearings.
For the desktop mechanics, some of them will say now, well, if you got this uneven of a wear pattern, it could also be a bent connecting rod, okay? But if you compare the wear pattern out of the Mahler catalog for a bent connecting rod, you can see that the bearing is basically only half or in a certain area worn on the side. So I don't think we have a bent connecting rod. I also don't think we have oil starvation because it would be distributed over both bearings. So top and lower bearings. Versus on the out of shape journal, they describe basically it's only on the load bearing side. And we gotta look now what is causing our cause.
Oh, exactly, that's all I'm saying.
And if we correct this condition now,
yes,
by fixing the cause, okay, this engine is gonna last longer.
And that's why I love doing that stuff.
Did you show how impressive my sketch is? Okay. The crankshaft also has a parallelity dimension. The crankshaft nominal diameter is 69.980 plus minus a hundredths. Okay. And for that dimension over the width of the main bearing, they give it with 8 microns measured between A and B. This symbol basically represents parallelity. You can see here is parallelity, and that this is used on round bearing areas like this. So I'm 100% sure I'm interpreting this dimension correctly. And by the way, the book I have here from Scheaffler, you can get that basically for free if you go to their website and you look for publications and then print publications. Then you put it in your shopping basket and you check out without paying, and you can get a quantity of one absolutely for free. I think this is really awesome. So you guys should get this also from Scheaffler for free.
Well, we spend a lot of money on Scheaffler products, like all the timing stuff, you know, Scheaffler Ina.
Yeah, and they are one of the richest families in Germany. They can afford it. So Vera wasn't happy with my explanation because the wear in the area of our bearing is where we have the larger oil gap,
Yes.
okay? And my explanation for that is, if you have oil starvation on a bearing, the Mahle catalog for oil starvation basically says the cause could be too little bearing oil clearance, or it could be too much bearing clearance combined with heavy loads.
Oh, we have heavy loads with 600 Newton meters.
So based on this explanation, it can cause this kind of wear if your oil film is too thin or if your oil film is too thick. Here's the crankshaft, and you can see our main bearing diameter on the crankshaft is almost undisturbed. It does not have any wear. It is also 100% cylindrical, as far as I can measure this with my Chinese micrometer. So I'm pretty confident the crankshaft is not causing the cause. So what we're gonna do now is basically do a measurement on the block without the bearing to see if our bore in the block is cylindrical or not. Let's do that. I'm gonna remove the first time now the number 1 bearing. This is what it looks like. So in my opinion, extremely even. This is how it was in there. Here I mark it all the way to here. So I mark also here one side. And it has an even seating. It's not obvious that it was stuck up somehow. Okay, installed. We had this piece of Scotch-Brite here in the workshop.
It was in here. It's not.
So I got a piece of Scotch-Brite here. This is not emery cloth. I'm gonna clean this out nicely. Feel this here?
Yeah, that's what I wanted
Feel
to
this?
say. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, right? This is like really oh yeah. I speculate that this is now gonna measure perfect. And the reason is that Ford knows how to bore such a hole. I think it is much more likely that we got a bearing problem from the bearing vendor, because that thing is produced somewhere on this planet and it went through so many hands and none of them made a lot of money. Got the gauge set up to 75 right here. Remember that the block dimension is 75.000 to plus 200ths. So we should measure something in that vicinity. On the front edge, this is front, and I go back, this is back. It's the same by 1 micron. Now I go to the other dimension here, to this dimension. Ooh, here the block is a little bit on the high side. Look at that.
What the fuck?
It's almost out of tolerance.
You don't.
And that matches because this dimension was also bigger with the bearing installed. So we have an oval-shaped bearing. And then I go to the back, 17, okay?
Yeah.
That's the back. I go to the front, and it's the same 17.
Yeah, it's
okay?
the same.
The block dimensions came back with a parallelity of basically 4 microns in position 1 and 1 micron in position 2, versus with the bearing it was 8 microns in 1 and 6 microns in 2. So with bearing, the parallelity was worse than block only. So I think the machining is not the cause for the cause. Now we're going to take the bearing back out, and we're going to install a new unused bearing out of the box and see if that bearing also shows this parallelity issue or if it cures it. And if it cures it, I just gonna claim in this video that the Federal Mogul OEM bearings were the problem, or the installation process by Larry because Manchester United lost was the problem. I'm a YouTuber. I can claim whatever I want in my videos.
But can't we agree to speak in terms of hundreds and thousands? Because I don't do microns.
Well, in this video, you're gonna have to learn how to do microns, just like all our US viewers. Okay, here I got a brand new set of bearings out of the box. I use Scotch-Brite to polish off the coating on the back side of the bearing to make that absolutely spotless. I do that on both of them, okay? The race here. I'm gonna do the same on the main bearing cap.
Yeah.
Okay, this is about equivalent to 600 grit. I'm using ATF fluid to seat bearings. I use that fluid on the backside. If you have that non-lubricated, these bearings have a hard time to get into the crush point, okay? Then I insert this bearing here, nice and even. The tolerance from Ford is plus minus 0.2 from side to side, where it gotta be centered, using ATF fluid. Yeah.
And you have the correct orientation?
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna give you location 1, front and back.
All right.
Plus 20. Plus 21.
That's good.
Number 2.
Yes.
Plus 23.
That's bad.
Why? In the back.
Yes.
Plus 18.
Oh, that's bad.
Plus 17. So this is 70.020. Okay, now calculate the difference, like here. Okay, now what's the cause for the cause in your opinion? This one is only screwed up in one location and the other location not, so we got a crush problem on this one. It's not seating properly. Let's
That's what I wanted. Did you put the letters letter to letter, or did you turn them around?
No, I didn't pay attention.
I know, and that's probably the problem.
There is no rule that you have to orient the writing on the bearing to each other, okay? You just made that up.
I would do it
Okay,
like that.
let me remeasure this side if I screwed it up because
Yeah.
my gauge is not as good. Here, you take the camera. Okay, let me check that my gauge really reads 0 on the 75. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
20 in the front,
21, yeah.
so 17 and 20, yeah?
Only 0.003 microns.
Okay. Oh, you know now what microns are?
So microns are 1,000.
Okay, so on the second go round, you know, with Vera watching the dial indicator, it looks like this.
Maybe I can measure it once, off camera.
No, on camera. What would be the fun in doing this off camera? It's not as easy as it looks, okay? I show it to you first. Here, take the camera. See how this side of the gauge is like spring-loaded here?
Yes.
You seat this side with the rollers first. Then I'm using my thumb and I push this down, engage it into the bearing, and then I'm looking here for the sweet spot. Okay? Looking for the sweet spot is something men know how to do. May I say at this point that we have 0.3% female viewers? And I think 99.7% of our male viewers watch our channel because of Vera, and also the 0.3% female viewers watch our channel because of Vera. See, I'm putting my thumb on there like this, okay? Like this, yes, exactly. There you go, you're getting 22. So you're not getting the same sweet spot I do. You're probably off in this direction here. You put your finger on the inside to hinge it on the other side. There you go. And you're getting the same 20. There's the same, you have 15. I had 17 there. You have 5 microns compared to my 3 microns.
Okay, so we take your measurement.
I see, you have no experience finding the sweet spot. We have now several measurements anyway. We do not find the conical behavior of the original bearing installed by Larry in the Dagenham plant. We have now the cause for the cause. So what was the correction according to Dave's 4 C's?
The correction was now that we put in a new bearing and measured its concentricity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have 3 of the 4 C's done. What's the 4th C? Confirm.
Confirm.
Okay.
Exactly.
So confirm, is confirm done?
Yes.
Yes,
Was
you measured
confirmed.
it. Okay. Now if any of you guys have a good connection to Dave, tell him Vera is his biggest fan, and since she is watching his videos, my videos are no longer important. Ask him if he agrees with our 4C analysis of this first main bearing. Here we calculated now the running clearance using the new bearing, and we got basically 0.045 and 0.042. This is a much better running clearance than we had with the old bearing, with the one-out bearing. Here you can see the spec again from Ford, which is 0.027 to 0.063. And we are nicely here in the center, okay? So roughly 0.03 to 0.06, and we are at 0.04. It could not be any better. So with this new bearing, we confirmed and we corrected our course really well. We approach this problem now out of different angles, and everything appears plausible because all the measurement data, the catalog data, the description from the bearing manufacturer about the cause, all this, in my opinion, merges nicely together, and we have a good picture of what the cause was and that our correction works. I think that's good enough. I mean, the desktop mechanics will anyway know something, but that's okay. We're willing to learn and we like to read those comments. I hope what you see in this video is that you can't just buy some bearings and slap an engine like this together. The procedure is just much more complex.
You cannot just buy an exchange engine with a lot of kilometers on it, slap it into your Discovery and think you are fine for the next 100,000 kilometers.
I would not be able to use an engine like this. I got to do this myself. And the reason is, Vera knows exactly who screwed it up if the engine fails.
Yes.
And she knows exactly that Dave would have done it all okay, and he would have not screwed this up, okay?
She's all jealous.
In the next episode, we're gonna install the crankshaft in this block, and we do a plastic gauge test, and we're gonna verify that everything is perfect, and then we're gonna install the pistons and verify that everything is perfect, and so on. So it will be an engine assembly video. But this video is complete at this point. We did the 4C analysis according to Dave's auto procedure. We found our condition, we found the cause, we did the correction, and we confirmed that the problem is gone. And at this point, we want to thank our Patreons a lot for their support, and
We'll see you next Sunday.
very well, we got the video done. Oh, you made a nice frame for it. How did you do these bends? Very nice. Yeah, this is looking absolutely straight now. Here, I give you a nice top view. There's the weld, not ground yet, and now you gotta forge the eyes in here, right?
Das ist jetzt alles nur noch Montage.
So this comes on there like this. Excellent. Very nice. Unbelievable how accurate. So he makes all these tools himself. Yeah, that's excellent. All symmetrical, so all you need to do is rivet it down now here.
Perfect. And I found the last rivet in our house.
Wow, you got it done. This is really cool. Look at that. Very nice. nicely brushed, polished. So this took you how many hours?
About 8 hours.
8 hours. So this is 1 day of work from a blacksmith. If you show it to me like this, I would imagine it takes a lot longer than 8 hours. It's such a complex design here.
And you cannot see where he closed.
No, it's not.
It's a circle, you know.
It's really good. Definitely a nice project.